Just before we got into World War II, the airplane did not exist. General Hap Arnold said, now there were two guys building an airplane, airplanes up in New Jersey. Alexander Seversky was the president of the company. His design engineer was Alexander Kartveli. Russians who came here after World War I and stayed because they wanted no part of communism. They were building a small plane on floats, a racer, a high-speed plane, also a small airplane, a P-35, to be used in training fighter pilots. General Hap Arnold, commander of the Air Corps, said, I need a new fighter. It's got to go faster than anything we have. It has to go higher than anything we have. It must have an air-cooled radial engine, and it must be more heavily armed and heavily armored. So those two guys decided to see if they could build an airplane that would fill that order. Now that, you can look at the complexity of that thing. From the time they began designing it until they flew the prototype was 9 months. Now, that's before computers. That was done with slide rules and tracing paper. Can you imagine designing and building that thing in 9 months? Before the war was over, they had built 16,500 of them in less than 3 years. In that 3-year time span, the airplane that America built the most of was a 4-engine B-24 bomber. We built 18,000 of those things. In that time span, less than 3 years, America built 600,000 warplanes. That's twice as many as Germany, England, Russia, Japan, and Italy combined. We are a remarkable people, especially if you get the bureaucracy out of the way and turn us loose. Now, Adolf Hitler had an interesting comment. He said that America has the Boy Scouts, Germany has the Hitler Youth, and the Hitler Youth will win. What he didn't realize is that my squadron commander was an Eagle Scout. I'm an Eagle Scout. We had 3 other Eagles in the squadron and a bunch of boys that were Scouts, but not yet Eagles. Hitler didn't know what the hell he was getting into. So that about covers everything I have to say.
Charlie, thank you very, very much.
I would encourage you to come out and visit the Frontiers of Flight Museum. It isn't a big collection like the Kavanaugh, but it is a history of aviation. We have some very interesting stuff out there. And I heard somebody say they were looking for something to do. How about volunteering out at that museum? You can write your own ticket. It's a lot of fun. You can write your own ticket. If you want to volunteer 1/2 a day a week, fine. That's all they ask of you. If you commit to whatever you do, do it. My regular work day is Tuesday, but I enjoy the place, so I go out Saturdays and Sundays too. Give it some thought. It's a lot of fun. Yes, sir.
You still fly?
No. I'm too broke down. No, I don't.
What did you do after the war?
I got first into the aviation insurance business, and I had some good accounts like LTV and things of that sort, but I didn't like the insurance business, too highly regulated. I ended up a commercial artist, and I had a little advertising art studio that evolved into an ad agency. So I had a small advertising agency, and most of my accounts were industrial stuff. I didn't have any retail at all. I had a Ryan Navion that I kept out at White Rock Airport. Somebody mentioned White Rock. Let me tell you about that. You guys can't do this anymore. I would come in at night. Now, White Rock was not lighted. I would come in at night and I could call Love Field Tower and ask them to call my wife, give them our phone number, and tell her what time I would land at White Rock. And she would drive out there and park with the car lights pointed right at the end of the runway. And I'd come in and land in those lights, and you get thrown in the Bastille for that stunt. But it worked fine. All right. I give up.
We have one more question. Bill, did you have a question?
Well, I was curious, did you ever do any dogfighting?
Well, yeah, I didn't shoot down any enemy airplanes. I got into two spats with German fighters. One, I was coming back all alone. We had gotten scattered all over northern France. No ammunition left, about half my fuel gone. And I looked up and there came 4 ME-109s diving at me. Well, I couldn't just turn and run because they were diving. They already had too much speed. So I turned into them. We went around like that a little bit. A couple of them shot at me, but nobody hit me. Once they lost that speed advantage, I just leveled out and opened that thing wide open, turned on the water injection and ran off and left them. They couldn't catch that. Besides, I was scared. They weren't. The other time was when my wingman was killed. He's the only one of our guys that was shot down by, or was downed. I'm not sure he was shot down by enemy aircraft. The rest of us were killed with from ground fire. We were sent out to skip bomb a small bridge, among other things, but we were going to bomb the bridge. My squadron CO kept his flight and another up above for top cover, and Kosinski and I went down to bomb that bridge. We had just let our bombs go when somebody yelled bandits. Well, that's enemy aircraft. So both Coach and I looked back, and here came, I think there were 6 ME-109s diving at us. Well, we were real low. We turned up, and we were going fast. We had just dived and dropped our bombs. We both turned into them. The 109 leader was coming so fast he couldn't pull his plane out of the dive fast enough to get his guns bearing on me, and I couldn't get around to him. We passed each other just like that, so close I could see he's wearing a white uniform. Now, my wingman, Kosinski, was farther out, as was his wingman, and they came head-on at each other like that, both of them firing. There were 11 other people up there, and none of us can remember whether they collided or shot each other down. But both my wingman and the 109 crashed in a pile of junk. So that's the only enemy combat fighting I did. I only flew 13 escort missions where you might run into enemies. The rest of it was all low altitude. I came back from a mission one day with some grass stains on the prop tips. Now that wasn't grass, that was a wheat field with stuff about that high. But my crew chief chewed me out pretty good for it.